Today is July 1st, 2025. This is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
And we have a word of congratulations to all of you.
We do.
Yeah, if you have begun with us this year in reading through the Bible, we are now a fourth of the way through the whole Bible.
So if you've been with us since January, you have read through a fourth of the Bible already.
Yeah.
Which is quite an accomplishment.
Yep. And we are just trying to make it easy by reading it for you, providing some contour and some context and short explanations. It's been our joy to do that, but hopefully it's been helping you to just get through the Bible. And our hope is that if you've begun 6 months with us, you'll be able to go another year and a half. And then even our hope is that you continue on with us after that, because we can plan to continue on just to help you with this process of just reading through the Bible again and again and again and again. Okay, so today we're going to read Deuteronomy 24 and 25, and it really fits quite nicely with our day in Washington, D.C. today.
Right, because Deuteronomy actually 21 through 25 is all about various laws.
Yep.
And today in Washington, D.C., we were reminded of laws.
Yeah.
Laws of our country.
Yeah, I mean, we did a bunch of things. We saw Ford Theater, where President Lincoln was shot, and we saw the old post office tower looking out all over Washington, D.C., and saw the National Portrait Gallery, which is really one of my favorites. Just seeing drawings is really, paintings is really cool. But we saw the National Archive Museum, which contained the Magna Carta and the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, like the original documents of each of these.
Yeah, and those are all about laws and justice.
Yeah.
And like really what has shaped our nation.
Yeah.
And we are hearing God's law that is shaping the nation of Israel.
Yeah, it's all about justice. It's all about the rights that people have. Right here in Deuteronomy 24 and 25. So just even listen to it with that perspective that God is always concerned with the weak and helpless, the orphan, the widow, the foreigner. God always makes laws to just uphold the rights of those people so they're not oppressed. Okay, here we go. Chapter 24. When a man takes a wife and marries her, if then she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found some indecency in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house, and she departs out of his house, and if she goes and becomes another man's wife, then the latter man hates her and writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if the latter man dies, who took her to be his wife, then the former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord, and you shall not bring sin upon the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance. And I think the idea here is you just can't divorce and then remarry the same woman, so that there's just lots of divorce and remarriage going on, and really protecting the woman. That's really what's going on here.
Okay, verse 5. When a man is newly married, he shall not go out with the army or be liable for any other public duty. He shall be free at home 1 year to be happy with his wife, whom he has taken.
Be happy with his wife. That's right. We have several in our congregation who have been married for less than a year, and they should be happy with their wives for a year before they're called on some big task to go away. Okay, Deuteronomy 24:6. No one shall take a mill or an upper millstone in pledge, for that would be taking a life in pledge.
Verse 7, if a man is found stealing one of his brothers of the people of Israel, and if he treats him as his slave or sells him, then that thief shall die. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. There's purge the evil.
Yep. Take care, in the case of a leprous disease, to be very careful to do according to all that the Levitical priest shall direct you, as I commanded them. So you should be careful to do. Remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam on the day that you came out of Egypt.
He made her leprous.
Yeah, when she complained against Moses. Yep.
Verse 10, when you make your neighbor a loan of any sort, you shall not go into his house to collect his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you make the loan shall bring the pledge out to you. And if he is a poor man, you shall not sleep in his pledge. You shall restore to him the pledge as the sun sets, that he may sleep in his cloak and bless you. And it shall be righteousness for you before the Lord your God.
You shall not oppress a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your brothers or one of the sojourners who are in your land within your towns. You shall give him his wages on the same day before the sun sets, for he is poor and counts on it, lest he cry against you to the Lord and you be guilty of sin. And there, just again, think about this, the Bill of Rights, just God giving rights and justice to those who are weak. If someone's poor, like, pay him right away because he needs it. Don't withhold it from him.
Okay, verse 16. Fathers shall not be put to death because of their children, nor shall children be put to death because of their fathers. Each one shall be put to death for his own sin.
You shall not pervert justice due to the sojourner or the fatherless, or take a widow's garment in pledge. Again, these are just weak people in the society. Don't take advantage of them. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. Therefore, I command you to do this.
That comes up a lot, about remembering that you were slaves in Egypt.
Yeah, you want to be treated like the same way.
Right.
Do to others you would have them do to you, is all he's saying.
Yep. Okay, verse 19. When you reap your harvest in your field and forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the works of the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over them again. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not strip it afterward. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. You shall remember, here it is again, that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command you to do this.
Okay, so...
And that's like what Ruth was able to do by gleaning in the field.
Yep, and she was a foreigner who came and was poor. Yeah, and a widow and was poor, and they just left those sheaves for her, and so she was able to at least go out, get the sheaves, and sustain herself. Okay, so in terms of a summary that we're encouraging you to take and write down of chapter 24, I mean, you can do no better than various laws, maybe a parentheses, and then write some of the laws that you think are more significant. Just look to see which of the laws are taking more space, and maybe just write out some of them. Like, even I've got one of just divorce and the whole leaving sheaves. I mean, those are two of the biggest ones. You might get into more detail or not, but okay. But again, right, I mean, they really are like the Bill of Rights. And I think chapter 25 is going to be very much the same. Here we go, Deuteronomy 25. If there's a dispute between men and they come into court and the judge decides between them, acquitting the innocent and condemning the guilty, then the guilty man deserves to be beaten. The judge shall cause him to lie down and be beaten in his presence with a number of stripes in proportion to his offense. 40 stripes may be given to him, but not more, lest if one should go on to beat him with more stripes than these, your brother be degraded in your sight. So here's like justice for those who are guilty. Right? They should be beaten.
Verse 4, you shall not muzzle an ox when it is treading out the grain.
And Paul writes this in 1 Timothy chapter 5, pertaining to preachers, right? Just don't muzzle them, but pay them and help them. Labor is worthy of his wage, is what this Paul talks about this. 1 Timothy 5, verse 17 maybe, it's kind of my guess. Okay, verse 5, if brothers dwell together and one of them dies and has no son, the wife of the dead man shall not be married outside the family to a stranger. The husband's brother shall go in to her and take her as his wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And the first son whom she bears shall succeed to the name of his dead brother, that his name may not be blotted out of Israel. And if the man does not wish to take his brother's wife, then his brother's wife shall go up to the gate to the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to perpetuate his brother's name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of a husband's brother to me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him. And if he persists, saying, I do not wish to take her, then his brother's wife shall go up to him in the presence of the elders and pull his sandals off his foot and spit in his face. And she shall answer and say, so shall it be done to the man who does not build up his brother's house. And the name of his house shall be called in Israel, the house of him who has his sandal pulled off. Now, that sounds a bit strange and odd to us. I mean, maybe this brother has good reason not to marry this woman. but also like he would be disgraced. It just shows how powerful this law is, and we get a taste of that in the book of Ruth, in Ruth chapter 4, when the closest kinsman redeemer refuses to redeem him. He's publicly shamed in some sense, and then Boaz comes in and redeems Ruth.
Mm-hmm. Also, the Sadducees question Jesus about this practice when they're really trying to question him about the reality of the resurrection.
Yep.
When they say, whose husband will she be in the resurrection?
Yep. And this helps you understand an obscure passage in Genesis 48 with and Onan, when Onan didn't quite fulfill his responsibility either.
Oh, right.
If you look back, you can read about that.
Okay, verse 11. When men fight with one another, and the wife of the one draws near to rescue her husband from the hand of him who is beating him, and puts out her hand and seizes him by the private parts, then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye shall have no pity. I have a question mark there.
Okay. You shall not have in your bag 2 kinds of weights, a large and a small. You shall not have in your house 2 kinds of measures, a large and a small. A full and fair weight you shall have, a full and fair measure you shall have, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. For all who do such things, all who act dishonestly, are an abomination to the Lord your God. Now this is mentioned in Proverbs chapter, I think it's 11, verse 1. False weights are an abomination to the Lord. Just cheating a little bit. Like we talked yesterday about the high calling of honesty, because God is the God of truth. We ought to be honest people.
Okay, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did to you on the way as you came out of Egypt, how he attacked you on the way when you were faint and weary, and cut off your tail, those who were lagging behind you, and he did not fear God. Therefore, when the Lord your God has given you rest from all your enemies around you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance to possess, you shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. You shall never forget.
Okay, again, these are just various laws, is what they are. And so for a summary, you can write down various laws, put parentheses, and then write down some of these that you think perhaps are the most important. Whether that's giving lashes to the guilty, or whether it's it's called the levirate marriage, about marrying a brother, marrying a brother's wife if he passes away.
Honest weights.
Destroy Amalek. Yep. And then even verse 4, don't muzzle the ox. That's a tiny one, but it's...
Yeah, but it comes up in the New Testament.
Yeah. So you do what you want. Various laws would work just fine. And again, remember, these are like the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Okay, we will see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.